Hello everyone, this is Liam here, and in this video I'm trying something a bit different. A little while ago I got together with NantenJex, the head of Source Gaming, to recall the history of Nintendo's voice chat and communication hardware and software. The highs, the lows, the controversies, it's all there just about, and as an experiment we conducted this over GameChat, the online video chat feature on the Nintendo Switch 2 while playing Mario Kart World. Since it's the latest evolution of Nintendo's communication endeavors, it seemed fitting. This is not a sponsored video, although Nintendo did provide us with both the Switch 2, Mario Kart World, and the camera to make whatever content we want with. Be sure to check out Source Gaming and NantenJex. They do good work, and links to their channel and his socials will be in the description. The discussion is very informal and goes a little off topic towards the start, to be honest, but don't worry, we do get around to talking about the main topic, and we had a fun discussion, so yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Just FYI, my sound is slightly out of sync with my video in the recording because I had to record my sound locally using a different microphone since the sound going into the game chat isn't echoed out of the Switch 2 locally, if that makes any sense. Couldn't be helped on this occasion, I'm afraid, but I hope you enjoy it and find it interesting. Like, comment, and subscribe if you do. Ooh, I don't know who to play as. You'll be in the Penguin, eh?
Yep, I went with the Penguin. One of the best newcomers for the game.
Yeah. I really want the Pianta, but I don't have that one yet.
See, Pianta is one of my... Pianta, Cataquack, and Penguin are like the three newcomers I always play.
I think I might be Slutty Warrior. Let's go with that.
Do it.
Can I say that on a Nintendo endorsed video? I mean,
you're gonna have to beep out everything with wahs. Oh.
I mean, look at that. Look at how much flesh he's showing. I mean, come on.
It's true. He's got no shirt on, just a jacket.
This game chat stuff, I'm trying not to swear, is quite cool, I have to say, so far.
Yeah, it's really well. I'm really impressed with how well the green screening stuff works.
Yeah,
how much it deletes of your background.
It seems to be working better for you than it does for me. I'm sitting in like an office chair, and I think it's having trouble distinguishing between my headphones and the chair, which is also black. So
when I go into face view like that, it can't distinguish the top of my head because of my hat. I think it thinks that's the cutoff point.
Right. I guess I'll cut it some slack for that, but just in case people are watching this in the future thinking, wow, this looks scrappy, it's like, no, I've kind of sabotaged it by my own fashion choices, but that's just the way it goes.
How far away are you from the camera? So mine's on my desk right now, but I remember the one time I've done game chat already, it was the other side of the room. And I think it actually worked better that way.
Okay. Mine is rested on top of an air purifier about, I don't know, several feet in front of me. Because I could have it down by the TV, but I don't know, I just prefer this angle, and I'm too vain for it to be like, from the bottom up, because it'll just look terrible.
Like what I've done.
Yeah, you're brave for that. I respect it, but... So something I want to talk to you about was sort of the history of Nintendo's efforts to do with, communication and online and that type of thing, but primarily communication. That would be fun to sort of look back on the things that led to this, because this feels like this has been a very long time coming. Actual on-system voice chat. They've flirted with it in the past, but that actually seems to have, during the Switch era at least, it felt like that was like erased from everyone's collective memories. I never saw anyone talk about how you could do it on a DS, You could.
Yeah, you could, yeah.
And so I thought it would be fun to reminisce, look back on all that stuff as we roam around in race or whatever. And
I was gonna say, shall we start a race before we get into this?
We can if you want.
Conversation?
Sure,
yeah,
sure. Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, that might impair my ability to play the game. I'm building an excuse into the conversation already for how bad I'm going to be. But we can try, yeah? Bit of fun.
Give it a try.
Maybe I could ask you this, like, what would you say is the oldest incarnation of something like that on a Nintendo platform?
I mean, the first one that immediately comes to my mind is Pictochat on the DS. Like, I think that was the first widely available form of like communication, just writing notes to one another. DS's local play. The previous systems had microphones, like the Nintendo 64 had a microphone, and SNES obviously had Teleview Online, but I don't think you could communicate with other people through them.
No, I don't think so. By the way, what CC are we doing right now?
I put it on 150.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. There's a lot of people who want. I was just curious. I'm not going to complain. That's what I normally play as. But there's a lot of people who want 200cc in this, and I feel like this is crazy enough. I don't think I need that. Oh, I've hit him.
You got me. Maybe they'll add it in an update like they did before. I'm expecting this game to get a bunch of updates.
I feel like 200cc, I don't know, might that stretch the technical capabilities of the system a bit? Given that, you're going so fast. It's an open world now. I'm just saying, in a Grand Prix, I could see, you could do it in a Grand Prix, but when it's streaming in open worlds, in like a knockout tour or free roam or whatever, I don't know. It might cause some issues, because this is a good-looking game, runs at 60, and there's you never see any draw distance issues in this game, do you?
No, you don't. The only real things, if you're playing multiplayer and online mode, you have to sort of stay with each other. Otherwise, the game will like force you together, because I just don't think you can render too far of the map apart.
Oh, in free roam it does that?
Yeah, in free roam, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that at all. So does it respawn you in another location? Is that what happens?
Yeah, it basically finds... I don't know if it takes player 2 to the... I don't know if it takes everyone to who the host is and just plops them there, or if it just finds a space in between everyone and just puts them there.
I see.
It's happened with friends of mine while playing. I had with my mum and sister while they were playing.
Ah, right. Okay. That's interesting. I guess I've not played too much of the free roam with other people. It's mostly just something I play by myself.
Yeah. No, it didn't stop you enough.
Oh dear. Well, I'm surprised I'm doing this well, to be honest, so far. You're probably going to win this, but anyway, I was talking about Nintendo's online communication efforts in the past. Oh, you've won, of course. There's been a lot of complaints about the difficulty in this game in terms of the CPU. A lot of people are surprised by how difficult it is. Like, some people I've seen have even speculated it might have an adaptive difficulty.
But I don't think that is speculation, actually. I think that's confirmed.
Oh, is it? Oh, dear.
Yeah, because there's a tech that people have been talking about online called Grandma Mode, where basically you do the first 2 laps as plainly and as boring as possible. No drifting, no items, just accelerate and turn. And by the time you get to lap 3, all the CPUs are basically doing that. So then you just go ham. Then you just go all in on the last turn, and the CPUs can't actually...
So it actually adapts on the fly during races. Is that right?
Yes. So it's So it just takes into account how many tricks, how much grinding, how many items you get, how frequently you're at top speed, and it will like change the CPU accordingly. Yeah.
So anyway, I was going to talk about the history of Nintendo's communication efforts, and I keep getting sidetracked. But yeah, you mentioned Pictochat. Very good shout. That is the earliest one I can think of in terms of what we're talking about. But I was trying to think also of ones that didn't come to fruition, and I actually did a video on one of those, which was something called Page Boy. Have you ever heard of the Page Boy?
Yes, I've watched your video on it.
Okay.
I remember the Page Boy.
Yeah, that was really interesting. It was intended to be for the Game Boy Color. You were going to be able to send messages from over long distances using pager frequencies, the same ones used, to send paging messages back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some people listening who will not even know what we're talking about when we mentioned pages.
There's a pager. Is this
Yeah.
some sort of phone brand?
Yeah, but Nintendo seriously looked into that. It was an external pitch from Eddie Gale, the inventor who designed the Workboy, another unreleased Nintendo peripheral, which was, office-based. Also did a video on that. It's not my intention, by the way, to lead you through a succession of plugs. That's just the way it's working out in my head. But they experimented with that. They looked into basically doing this not online, but international paging system where you could message photos and text messages to one another wirelessly using this Game Boy add-on that would have used pager frequencies. And it also would have allowed you to access news from Nintendo, including a live stream of information where Nintendo would announce new things. It is genuinely... It's a Nintendo Direct, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah. It's the Nintendo Today app of the 90s.
That's what's so interesting about that Page Boy thing is it sort of envisioned Nintendo's future in 1999. There's all these really innovative things that it was toying with, the idea of directly communicating with the consumers and announcing new products, right? And of course, communication. That is so ahead of its time, and the only reason it didn't happen, I understand, is because it's getting close.
Just made it.
See, it's because I'm trying to think of things to say. That's the only reason you won. It's not because you're better than me.
You're leading the conversation. It's taking all your energy.
No, I'm actually kind of impressed that I'm not just coming last at this point, so I'll take it. But I think a lot of people, when I made that video, said, "Oh, this is totally technologically impossible. It's ridiculous." But it would have been. They did tests. They had prototypes for it. I understand. They tried wiring a pager up to a Game Boy, and it worked. Everything that they wanted to do was feasible. It was just the fact that it was possible in North America and certain parts of Europe, but not all of Europe and not all of Japan. And so Nintendo's people in Japan, it was a no-go for them. They're not going to launch a product like that doesn't work.
It only works part of the country.
Yeah, Nintendo's very concerned with, their products working in their domestic market, especially back then. I feel like Nintendo gave a lot of deference to that market. They still do, but especially back then.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's their home market after all, so...
Yeah.
So you understand it.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I'll just go with random. Let's go with random for a change. And so after that, I think Pictochat, as you said, was the first serious go they'd given it, wasn't it? Back on the DS. And do you have many memories of using Pictochat on the DS? Because I certainly do.
I think I remember back at the start when it first came out, I definitely would have used it with my brother had a DS as well, so we'd both send messages to each other, and I'm pretty sure I would have definitely done it with some close friends. But it would have, I think interest in it would have weighed off. I think my biggest memory of it was actually attempting to Pictochat with a friend who was in another car when we were both on the motorway. Like, obviously parents driving, we were kids.
Wow.
But attempting to send messages from one car to another because we were obviously driving going the same direction.
That's actually really cool. That worked, did it? How long were you doing that for?
It was... Things were obviously slow because it only really sent the connection if our cars were next to each other. But it did work. So...
Yeah, I think that was the only thing about Pictochat that was kind of disappointing. Was it was such limited range? You could only do it with people in the other room. Any walls would oh, you've got me. You sniped me with the green shell.
Hey.
Yeah, I thought Pictochat was a really cool experiment, but it was just very limited. I did like messing around with it and friends, especially towards the launch of the DS. And you can make animations in it. I don't know if you remember that. You could basically use it a bit like Flipnote. It was kind of a bit of a Flipnote predecessor, now that I come to think about it. Do you remember that, where if you press the triggers, you can make it into an animation?
I actually don't remember the animation thing, so I don't think I ever did it.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't use that too much, but I remember before Flipnote, people would upload that on YouTube and stuff like that, and it was pretty cool to see what people could do. But yeah, I have a couple of other things I want to mention about Pictochat. I remember there being a little bit of a moral panic around it as well, because I swear,
I can believe that.
I swear, was it Fox News or someone like that? Some news organization, did stories where they're like, "Oh, your children might get lured by this."
Nintendo DS is going to redefine portable handheld gaming the way iPod is redefining music.
Well, stop the music, because it's also redefining how vulnerable your kids are to child.
It was such a mild step into communication. And back then, when the DS launched in 2004, that was peak moral panic over video games. That's the Jack Thompson era, if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, so I definitely remember those news stories.
Yeah, I don't remember it well I don't remember anything like that happening with Pictochat, but there is another talking app that's very similar that Nintendo did get that kind of controversy.
Oh, what's that?
That one? It's a swap note on the 3DS, which is effectively Pictochat with online.
I wanted true Pictochat. I wanted true Pictochat with online, you know what I mean? Like the actual chat rooms.
The actual chat rooms and stuff, yeah. It's not just sending one-off messages to each other.
Yeah, but I can see why Nintendo wouldn't go for that back then.
Yeah.
What else was there? I mean, you mentioned swap note. I think that's jumping ahead a little bit, because there was, I said earlier, there was voice chat on the DS, wasn't there? There was voice chat. I think the first game...
it had a microphone. I don't remember what game used it. Did Mario Kart DS use voice chat? Or
No. Well, I can remember this pretty well, because I played the DS a lot online.
Okay.
Mario Kart DS, I think, was the first online Nintendo game.
Yes, it was like the big appeal of that game, I remember.
Do you remember the other game that the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection launched with?
It wasn't Metro Prime Hunters, was it?
I wish. It was a Tony Hawk game. It was... I don't remember which one it was, but there was a Tony Hawk game on the DS. And that was it. I cannot remember. It's gonna bug me.
Downhill Jam was on the DS. American Skateland?
It was, yes, it was something like that. I believe you might be right there. Good one. I think that's right. I think it was something like that. And I did play that. It was quite good. Oh, you're about to get blue shell. Look out.
Oh,
but
no, of course I am.
Those were the two launch games for Nintendo's online on the DS, the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. But neither of them had any communication features. Apart from in Tony Hawk, you could do graffiti tags. You could design graffiti and tag shared areas online. So maybe that counts as the first Nintendo online communication. But
communication, we're getting Splatoon vibes of vibes from it.
It was it was super limited, but it was quite cool, I guess. But the first one I can think of actual voice chat was Metroid Prime Hunters, which came out in, I think, 2005 or 6. Ooh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that.
I want to say 2006, but I don't know. But you could do voice chat in the lobbies in that game. Did you ever try that?
Maybe I did, because I actually played a lot of Metroid Prime Hunters just with a friend I knew. I feel like we must have played it online, not just locally.
Yeah,
we probably would have chatted if we did. So maybe
the voice chat in that was super impressive. Oh my gosh, you just inched it there. Oh my god, every time.
Down from above.
Foiled again.
Comeback king.
Yeah, I just got so secured in the victory, and then he just leapt over me. Oh well. Wow, you've won every race. That's great. I'm not mad.
I've got the Mario Kart shirt on.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. Well done. But I played Mario. I did play Mario Kart DS online a lot, but I played Metroid Prime Hunters online a lot, especially. And yeah, you could voice chat in the lobby using the built-in microphone. It was so ahead of its time. And then it felt like Nintendo regressed. I remember playing that and thinking, oh, surely Nintendo's next console will just have this. It'll be a given. Well, I mean, it's taken, 2 decades to get here? So no, that never happened.
Well, I remember that period quite well because it was around that time that the Xbox 360 really blew up in popularity and using online communication down, like, immediately.
Yeah.
So me and my friends were playing Xbox Live Arcade and stuff. We're using, like, the headsets that go over your head. This type of headset. And
you could do...
when you couldn't do that on the Wii, and you didn't get this sort of headset on the Wii ever.
No, you could do video chat on the 360 back then. I remember people did it with Uno and stuff like that.
Everyone knows through the Uno stories.
Yeah. Maybe that is what alarmed Nintendo against pursuing that, because there's quite a few. I think if you used that Vision camera, whatever it was called, back on the 360, everyone who did has some sort of horror story about playing that online with strangers. Anyway, though, after the DS, there were a number of games that used the voice chat, not just Metroid Prime Hunters. And I guess I will give a shout to Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing did have instant messaging. You could instant message.
Yes, it did have instant messaging. Yep, you're right.
But it didn't have voice chat, I don't think. And then what came after that? I guess it would have been Wii Speak, right? Is that right? So
Wii Speak was the Wii's attempt at communication, and it's basically what this is. I think this is Wii Speak is what most people, I think, thought of when they were seeing what GameChat could do, because it's obviously the microphone is in the console itself. It's picking up everyone around you. If you're with a group of friends, it picks everyone up. And that was the idea of Wii Speak, because Nintendo was still going for that family-focused sector. And so it was like, oh yeah, you can communicate. Mom, dad, they can, pet, kids, brothers, sisters, everyone can communicate together while they play the Wii, which was just not what most people who were playing video games were doing. But it was Nintendo's Blue Ocean strategy that led to it.
And it's interesting because I think GameChat, which we're using right now, has echoes of Wii Speak, because we're both using the camera and using a microphone that isolates sound and focuses on your voice from across the room, and does so, I would say, much better than Wii Speak did. I don't know if you have much experience with it.
See, Wii Speak's a really interesting piece of technology, because I don't remember it ever being bad in any way. It was just never really used, and it came out at a time where everyone was so used to GameChat being through the Xbox mic headsets, everyone having their own individual microphone, that I think most people were just who were into playing online, just didn't see the point in a Wii Speak. I bought it so I could play the Conduit, because that was the big game.
Me too.
For it.
Me too. The Conduit. Yeah. Shout out to a real one.
I think I played it a couple of times online with Wii Speak, and I was just like, everyone in the house can just hear whoever I'm fighting against just swearing.
Wow.
It's like all the awfulness of Xbox game chat, but now everyone in the house could hear it.
Yeah.
Let's not do that anymore, actually.
Can you remember what Wii Speak launched with? Can you remember the game that
was Animal Crossing Let's Go to the City, right?
That's right, yeah.
I think I got it bundled in.
Didn't that have another name internationally?
Yeah, Animal Crossing City Folk.
That's it. That's
the international one. Yeah.
Is Let's Go to the City the PAL region version of it? Is that right?
I think so. Our names tend to always be super long for some reason, like Shake Dimension instead of Warrior Land Shake It. Or
City Folk.
Classic Universal Gravitation.
Yeah. City Folk is such a much better name than Let's Go to the City. That's such a unwieldy title, such a mouthful. And
City Folk, they felt the need for that. Yes.
City Folk just matches the naming scheme of all the other games, right? They're all like 2-word subtitles. So, and I don't know what they were going with that, but there were 2 games as far as I can remember that bundled Wii Speak with it. It was that Animal Crossing, and do you remember the other one?
No, it wasn't Conduit, was it?
It wasn't the Conduit. It was another first-party game.
I'm just trying to think.
It's quite a hard one to guess, to be honest. It's a bit obscure.
My first thought was Wii Party, but I don't know if that counts as being obscure, so maybe not.
I don't know if it's obscure is the right word, but I guess it's something I would not personally expect. Because I looked this up a few weeks ago when we said we were going to do this video, and it was Endless Ocean 2. You could get you could get a bundle of Endless Ocean and Wii Speak for, I don't know how many people got that.
I did not even know that had online, but I guess so.
Yeah, Endless Ocean. I mean, there was one on the Switch which I own, but I've not tried yet. That was pretty online focused, as I recall.
Yeah, that one's extremely online focused, but Endless Ocean 2 was definitely made to be more of a story-driven game compared to the other two. So it also having online, I guess it was just the thing at the time.
yeah, sure. But Wii Speak, it was supported by so few games, wasn't it? I can really only think of like 3 or 4 conduits. There was Animal Crossing, Endless Ocean. I know something weird happened with Conduit 2, where Nintendo actually stopped in and prevented them from using Wii Speak in it. I don't know if you've ever heard that story.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It was because, essentially, the people who made Conduit, High Voltage Software, they partnered with a third-party microphone company that had made a headset, and it was designed to work with Wii Speak. And Nintendo basically said, no, we do not want you endorsing this third-party solution. We do not want that to work officially with Wii Speak. So you can't call it Wii Speak. So they had to invent their own like in-game voice chat application. They had to come up with their own native solution for it.
Interesting, because I do remember the Conduit headsets being announced, because everyone at the time was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They're actually doing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, it might have been PDP or something, but I think Nintendo saw them as, stealing the bag a little. Other than the games, there was a thing called the Wii Speak channel. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that.
That was a thing. You could...
it's just like a chat room?
Basically, yeah, just like a voice chat room, an app you could download off the Wii Shop channel. See, I'm ancient, so I remember all these weird things that Nintendo tried. So many weird Wii channels. Everybody votes.
There were a lot of weird Wii channels. I probably just never used the Wii Speak channel, because I used like Everybody Votes channel and the Nintendo channel and all that all the time. And the Weather channel, like that's the goat. I love the Weather channel.
The Weather channel was cool, yeah. Really cool interface, very charming. A lot of Nintendo charm packed into those apps. But just on the subject of Wii Speak, before we get off this, I almost never used it. I did use it for Conduit like you. That might have been the only thing I tried it in. Yeah. But a weird side note, while we're on this, I have a video on my YouTube channel that consistently gets views, and it's me as a child trying out Wii Speak and just testing the microphone quality. And I uploaded that in maybe 2009. To this day, it still gets views. I still get people commenting on it every so often, and I'm like, why are you watching this? Who's curious about Wii Speak in 2025? What's going on with that?
I tell you what, you've probably got like the only piece of usable footage of someone testing Wii Speak out.
That's probably true.
The internet.
I could believe that. Maybe there are Nintendo YouTubers out there. You know who I mean? that mentioned this, and people were like, "Oh, was that a thing? Let me look that up. What's the sound? What's the sound?" But anyway, the video is me as a child roasting the sound quality because it's not very good. I think I bought Wii Speak, I remember, in a sale for £5.
Wow.
But it retailed, I want to say £20, $30, something like that back then, which is not bad. But I think, as you say, what people wanted was they wanted something built in, native, like the 360. That's what they wanted.
You say that's not bad, but child me, that's like, what, games are like 30 quid back then, so that's like almost the price of a full game.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy games on the Wii for less than that through the shop channel.
Yeah.
You could buy, well, not only classic games, you could buy WiiWare. There was some bangers on WiiWare back in the day, right?
Yeah, there were some great WiiWare games that were cheaper than Wii Speak.
Yeah. Do you ever play My Life as a King, the Final Fantasy game? That was good.
Did not, no. I remember it because I used to read Official Nintendo magazine. It looked really good, but it's actually one of my WiiWare blank spots is that game.
That's fair enough. I guess it's probably quite obscure, but Square, bring it back. I'm looking in the camera. Bring it back. What are you waiting for? Money is sitting right there. I remember it had quite obnoxious monetization because there was DLC you needed to like complete the game or something.
Really?
So just bring it back, complete edition. Ooh, I just unlocked Pirate Wario. So that's just great.
Nice.
And so what succeeded Wii Speak? There was, I guess, Miiverse, and there was Wii Chat U. There was Wii Chat U. Did you ever use that?
Yeah, Wii Chat U was the one I was going to bring up. Did that even release? I remember the trailer for it, where like it was like, oh, I need help figuring out this thing. I'm going to go on a Wii Chat U and.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. Let's make a good launch for Wii U.
Okay.
And I love Wii U.
Thank you very much.
And I don't ever remember it actually releasing.
It did come out. It did come out. You could use it. You could draw on the screen. I think I tried it once with a friend. It used the built-in camera in the Wii U gamepad. And I guess it was kind of novel, the fact that you could draw on the screen. It was free. It was built into the system. For everything we can say about it, at least Nintendo at that point said, hey, here's a chat solution that's built into it, and it uses the microphone and the camera that's built into what you have if you buy the console. So yeah, something.
That much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I ever used it. I think when the Wii U came out, I knew so little people with a Wii U. And then when I eventually did meet people who were interested in the Wii U, it was at university, so we all just used mine anyway.
That makes sense.
So
I have very, very limited experience of that on the Wii U, and I didn't really use the online much other than to play Mario Kart, to be quite honest. But you did mention another thing that we should probably bring up, which is SwapNote on the 3DS. The 3DS, I don't recall the 3DS ever having anything else other than that, like voice chat or anything. I don't recall any games doing that. I think it was just the DS, right? And then it was nothing for a while.
I don't remember anything. Yeah, I don't remember anything specific that they would have had. So I think that was the big thing about SwapNote. Like, it came out and it was like, we're bringing back the Pictochat idea, communicate with friends through the Nintendo 3DS. Like, obviously you had other types of communication features, stuff like Street Pass, and if you're in Japan, there was Jam with the Band, which had like online communication share functionality. But that sort of stuff encouraged you to like go onto an external website and communicate people through there rather than the system itself. Yeah, so like Nintendo had, I think they were using like other forms of communication instead of doing it themselves, like going on the internet and encouraging people to communicate that way, rather than having anything built in. Especially after SwapNote got into controversy and they had to just cancel it and they just deleted it.
Is that why SwapNote was shut down? It was because of bad things?
Yes, it's because of bad things. Because when you give strangers online stuff and access to other people they shouldn't have access to, they do bad things. And Nintendo did not need that image on them.
Yeah, I get it. Nintendo's very careful about cultivating that type of an image for themselves, and people are always going to use whatever tools they can to do bad things, really. I don't think it's the fault of the app. They build in plenty of features for safety, like friend codes. It's pretty rigorous. And I feel like parents have got to step in at a certain point, right? And make sure they know who their kids are talking to online. I mean, I'm definitely not victim blaming or anything like that. But all I mean is, I don't think Nintendo is culpable there for anything. And it might have been an overreaction to take the whole thing down. And anyway,
I have to imagine that maybe it just also wasn't being used as much, because it's not like, so Miiverse is obviously probably the biggest communication that Nintendo did during that era, an actual forum and place that people could chat. And Miiverse, as we all know, became like a cesspit eventually.
Yep.
An unmoderated, everyone was just doing whatever. And they obviously got rid of Miiverse eventually, but it took them the entire generation. I mean, they even added it to 3DS. And that was after moderation had just given up at that point. So I think because enough people were using it, because they also found value in using it by having the developers send messages directly, like the Kirby team used it a whole bunch with their games to talk about what they were doing with Robobot and stuff. I think it had that external value that just let them ignore all of the rubbish that was going on.
I loved Miiverse. I'd love them to bring it back. It was so much fun. It was actually nice having a game community not only just built into a console, but it was kind of wholesome in its own weird way, I found. It was,
it had a community.
It did have a community, and it was pretty well moderated. I don't remember it really being a cesspool. I'll take your word for that. In what way was it a cesspool towards the end? Because I just don't remember that.
I mean, there might be a slight over-exaggeration on my part, but it's one of those cases where people were just like, you see Miiverse compilations, you see posts from it, and you see, like, they definitely cut out anything that was leaning very blatantly adult orientated, but there was still a lot that you could get away with saying on that platform. People trying to like hook up with people on Miiverse.
Things that probably aren't YouTube friendly, so yeah.
Yes, basically. Feel free to mute all of that.
Yeah, people can guess for themselves what you were talking about there. But Miiverse, I liked. Especially towards the start, it was very novel seeing Miiverse functions in games. There was a lot of games that made use of it really effectively. Did you ever try Zombie U? I felt like that had a really interesting integration of it.
Yeah, Miiverse was used really well, and a lot of games obviously allowed you to upgrade Miiverse in ways with stamps and all that, and had them as things you could find. Zelda was very big on that.
That stuff was cool.
Princess HD.
That stuff was cool. It's a shame that nowadays the Miiverse isn't preserved in the sense that you don't get the same experience that you did if you played the Wii U back in the day, do you? Because there were so many functionalities that made those games much more unique. Like I mentioned Zombie U. In that game, if you died and other people on your friends list had played Zombie U, your character, which had become a zombie, would appear in their game, and you could then your friend could kill you and get the supplies that you lost at that point in the game, because that's how it worked. You played as sort of anonymous characters, survivors in an apocalypse. They weren't bespoke characters, and so you could find your friend's zombie, kill them, get their supplies, and they could do the same to you. You could also, I think, write things in the open world. Like you could write messages on bulletin boards that people could find. That is so cool. It had so many
like Dark Souls and the FromSoft games would eventually pick up the ability to lead that.
Exactly.
Zombie U.
Zombie U was ahead of its time, and it gets a lot of shit, but I think a lot of people just didn't get it. And it's a shame that if you are to play it now on, I don't know, an Xbox One or PS4, Zombie or whatever, or even if you do go back and get the Wii U version, you just won't have that experience. That is a game that is sort of what it was at launch. The experience I had is lost to time, and I will treasure it in a way, but no, it can't be replicated, can it? There's no way, I think, to experience that.
No, and Nintendo, and I guess in this case Ubisoft, will have to go through quite a lot of steps to attempt to replicate stuff like that. But like Nintendo first has to do the gamepad replication, which they in theory can do with Game Share and a second Switch, but then they need to have some form of connecting it with other people and being able to write messages and send it. Like maybe you could do it with your friends list. Like I'm sure there must be maybe some tech, but they have to actually do the work into putting it, and I'm not sure they are bothered to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do you want to do a quick race before we wrap up, as we talk about kind of this? We'll talk about our thoughts on this whole thing, Game Chat. But yeah, what else to do with Miiverse? I'm trying to think if this is anything I missed. I mean, quite a lot of different games used it in interesting ways, like I remember New Super Mario Bros. U and Mario 3D World. Those all used it. And this is what I'm saying. A bunch of games had these.
Do you want to do battle mode, actually?
Yeah, I've not tried that. Yeah, actually, that would be fun. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm just saying a lot of games used Miiverse in very novel ways, and that's just lost now, isn't it? I think the remnant of Miiverse that we have nowadays, since it's been shut down, is probably Splatoon 3 or 2.
Yeah, the Splatoon series has managed to keep it up just internally, because it was a big part of that series, the idea of like graffiti and being able to share art with people from the game. It was all part of the theming behind Splatoon as a series.
Yeah, totally.
So they sort of had to keep it.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was really cool, and I'm so glad that they kept it, because it was so intrinsic to the identity of Splatoon. And I really hope that would be an indication that Nintendo's not going to totally let go of this type of communication, but they kind of did. You know, it's a bit of a shame, but do you foresee them ever, crawling back to that type of thing? Yeah, could it happen?
I never want to say never to anything. I think if they can find a way to do it, then they will, because there wasn't anything like inherently wrong with the feature. I think a big thing from the jump to the Wii U to the Switch is that Nintendo felt the need to cut out a lot of the features that they've been building up since the Wii to try and streamline the Switch. It had a shorter development cycle than most of their hardware did, and I think they just wanted it to look sleek and not filled with a bunch of extra stuff that might confuse people.
Yeah.
So they cut that, and now we're only on the next system after, and we can already see that they're adding back in stuff like GameChat. The Nintendo Today app is kind of like a replacement for the Nintendo Channel app back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
We can using mobile phone stuff. We can potentially see them finding a way to bring some of this back.
And speaking of mobile phones, we should talk about how the Switch handled this stuff, right? Because it offloaded it onto a mobile phone with the Nintendo Switch Online app, and even I was surprised at how few games ended up using that in the end, because it wasn't very many.
No, it wasn't. It's similar to Wii Speak. It just felt like an unnecessary extra step. Like, not an extra step, that's not the right word. It just felt, because it was different from what everyone else was doing, it just felt slightly unnecessary. And I think the biggest issue using the Nintendo app to talk is that stuff like Discord already existed. People were already using Skype, Discord, maybe Teams if you're in this pandemic, I don't know.
Yeah.
To communicate with friends. So why would you bother using the Nintendo app to do it?
That's true. If you go in for a mobile phone to communicate, people are just going to use the thing that everyone is already using, right?
Yeah.
But believe it or not, I have heard that they did. Oh gosh, I'm nearly dead. I've got one balloon left. I was going to say, I did hear that they did look into doing voice chat natively on the Switch.
Okay.
Do you know why, or can you guess why they didn't proceed with it? Because I think it's quite interesting.
Oh. Surely it couldn't have been it taking up RAM or stuff, because there are some games on the Switch that, like, use voice chat, right? Like, they actually have got their own internal voice chat. I think Fortnite might be one of them.
Well, I'll just tell you. I'll just tell you. We don't need to play it. We don't need to play a guessing game. I've spoken to people who worked on the OS, and it was to do with them being concerned about accessibility features and being able to implement them on the Switch 2. There's quite an interesting feature which we should show off. I can do this right now, actually. If I go on. Let me see if I can find it. There's a feature in accessibility. If I go on display speech as text, there we go. That should work. You see this stuff here. This is a new feature in the Switch 2, which lets you convert your speech to text as like an accessibility function. This is something that they wanted to do back on the Switch when they were designing the OS for the Switch, and they looked into doing native voice chat. Well, as I recall, there were just difficulties implementing this. I don't know how far it got, but I think there was some preliminary exploration of it. And Nintendo determined that I think the amount of memory they'd need to dedicate to this was just too great. And it would have impaired games. And finally, they have a console that they can do it with, which is why you see it here. There's all kinds of accessibility features built into the game chat. And I don't know, because of my accent, how well it is translating what I'm saying, but it seems to be doing a reasonably good job if you look to the right of the screen. Can you see that, by the way?
Yeah, I turned it on my section. Yeah, I have to turn it on myself in order to see it. But when you started talking, when I realized what feature you were showing off, I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing. Because me and my friends were messing around with GameChat and discovered that it had this text to speech and also has like this is speech to text, but it has text to speech as well. So you can actually type, and then it says stuff with a robot voice. You can even pick like what accent you have. Like, I think we were playing Mario Kart, so we had it text to speech in Italian.
Oh, really?
Just because it felt fitting, you know? Say it all in Italian accent.
That's interesting. I've not tried the text to speech yet, but that's cool. But as you can see, it's quite advanced. It's quite impressive. There's quite a lot of RAM dedicated on the Switch 2, as I recall, to game chat functionality to the OS. I think it's a lot more than the other consoles. So that says to me that the things I heard back then about this, because this isn't something I heard recently, this is something I heard back when the Switch first came out. I was told that
real back in the day. Yeah,
this was back when it was first coming out, speaking to people who'd worked on the system itself and had told me about it before it had come out all those years ago. And I've mentioned this numerous times over the years, but I don't think it's really gotten traction. Well, there you go. That's kind of what I had heard was a big factor in them not doing native voice chat, that type of thing, on the system itself. I'm sure with Fortnite, that was just left up to the developers, but in terms of the system itself, did I hit you?
I totally believe that, especially given the accessibility features that are here. Like Fortnite will have voice chat, but it won't have any of. I don't think it has anything like this. It's just very simple voice chat. And I could. That's why I was like, I'm sure. I know the Switch 2 the Switch 1 can at least do talking to each other through it. But this makes a lot more sense if, like, unless it could be fully formed in the way they wanted it, then they weren't going to do it at all. That's a very Nintendo way of looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. Nintendo is the type of company to chip away and iterate on ideas internally until they can get it to a place where they want it. Like, look at the 3DS. They experimented with 3D for a very long time. Oh, I'm knocked out.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Oh, no.
Oh, well. I'm too busy racking my brain to think of Nintendo facts to actually be good at this video game.
Yeah, that was my excuse when I came out the last match.
Did you get knocked out in the previous one?
In the dinosaur one, yeah, I got knocked out very early.
Okay. But I'm looking at the speech to text thing on the side, and it seems to be translating what I'm saying reasonably well. I think if I speak less clearly, I'm making a concerted effort to do that because this is a video. But I think if I was just, very informal, a little bit more of the Geordie accent coming out, it would just struggle. It would not know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah. I think strong accents are always going to make something like this not work fully. But I think if you can pass your way through a very strong accent, I think you can pass your way through a jumbled text that forms some form of sentence. It's very impressive that it's keeping stuff up.
And
keeping up with stuff.
I think it's interesting that there's absolutely no drag on the performance from us doing all this stuff, is there? It's like a locked 60.
Yeah, I was thinking this myself, obviously ignore the game share screens we're doing at the bottom here. Those are running at like a 10 FPS. But our own actual screens have not dropped any frames. Our conversation, we're doing it online. And there's been basically no lag at all. I don't think there has been any lag, in fact.
No.
And the text-to-speech is still keeping up. Our voices are coming through clear. The video is coming through clear.
Yeah,
Game Chat. It's incredibly impressive, especially when you think of how Nintendo's previously been with online features and stuff.
Oh, I wonder what level it could be.
I hope it's Big Donut.
Oh, get in. Well, what do you think overall of this newfangled Game Chat invention?
I think it's actually pretty good. Like, if enough of my friends get Discord, get a Switch 2 even, I could see us easily moving from Discord onto this. For Source Gaming streams, I could definitely see us jumping up on here. I don't know how many people on my team have a Switch 2 camera, but even if it's just me at the bottom, just showing up, I can see it. I can see myself using it a lot.
I think Game Chat is quite interesting for what it is. It's free, I think, temporarily, isn't it? And then
it's free for this first year, and then you have to have an NSO subscription.
I wish it was free just forever, but I guess that's something like people can at least try it, can't they? They can see how they feel about it.
That's their idea. I think that's the idea of making it free. It's a big selling point of the Switch 2. So if they can get people trying it, then if they do enjoy it enough, then they'd be willing to pay for NSO. Because, that's what they're trying to do, right? They want as many people subscribing as possible. So these little benefits, these little apps like Nintendo Music.
Have you tried using the Game Chat camera playing Mario Kart locally? Because it's quite cool what you can do with it.
Oh, I've not tried locally. I've only tried online.
It can...
I'd have to give that a go.
It can, I think, display multiple different faces. I did it with 4 people total. And it was pretty fun. You can set it to anything in the room. It doesn't have to be your face. When we're doing Game Chat here, it is tracking my face. It's zooming in on both of us. It's isolating us. But if you play it locally, you can set it to anything in the room. A figure.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I set it to be my friend's foot when we were playing the other day. And he set his as my face. So that was weird. The possibilities are endless. That's pretty fun. How much is the camera?
That's a pretty cool feature.
The camera is like what, £50 or something like that. I think
it might be a little bit more than that. It might be like £60.
Okay.
But for like a 1080p camera, I think it's worth it compared to what you can also get on the market. One of the things I'm going to do with my review of the Nintendo Switch 2 is I'm going to film the whole thing using the camera.
That's why
the actual hardware shots, stuff like that, because you can use this camera on like a laptop as long as it's got USB-C ports. You can use the camera as just a webcam. So I'm gonna push it to its limit by testing those out and seeing how videos come out. Recorded.
That's cool. That's
camera.
That's a cool idea, and by the same token, you can also use other USB-C cameras with the Switch 2. There are third-party solutions, and you can't just buy a non-Switch 2 camera. It can be anything. If you can hook it up by USB-C, it should work, I think.
Yeah, I think as long as you can plug it into the USB-C slot, it should work perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You can also apparently use third-party mouses as well for mouse support games.
I think you could do that on some Switch 1 games if it supported it.
Oh,
so
okay.
They've just carried that over.
That'll be good for...
So there are more games that use mouses, obviously, on the Switch 2, so...
That would be good for Metroid Prime 4. Did you get to try that when you went to the event?
I did. That was probably my favourite game from the event, to be honest. No offence, Donkey Kong, but...
yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's hard to top 120 frames per second mouse control. It was very, very good.
Yeah.
I was impressed by that. But I'm trying to think if there's anything we've missed. I think we've pretty much covered it, right? The broad strokes of Nintendo's history with online communication. And
I don't think there's one we've missed out, so...
Yeah, are there any other game chat features we haven't shown? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. You have to check the C menu. I will say, just pressing the C button to bring all of this up is a genius idea, because that just encourages its use more. It's like it's so easy to just press a button and boom, you're up.
And I will just show people. I'm sure there's some people who've watched this and they're like, "Oh, that's covering quite a lot of the screen." Well, you can make it smaller. I can make it full screen if I want and just see the game.
I decided to just use the default one for this, but I think if you do full screen, it turns your camera off.
Oh, does it? Okay.
But I can't actually change the display with the accessibility stuff on.
I think I like this one, the sort of medium option where it shows us in a little icon, but
yes,
they're small. You can still see a lot of the screen. I think that's a pretty good happy medium. One thing I will say about the camera and all this stuff, I hope that they don't just abandon the camera. I hope that it's something that they continue to develop uses for, because I remember the Wii U front-facing camera, that was used in like 2 games. I think Zombie used it for a selfie mode, and maybe a mini game collection used it. What games used that? I can't really imagine. I can't really remember many.
I feel like Game & Wario might have used it for some random mini game or something.
Yeah,
that feels like the kind of game that would have used it.
I think you're right. I think that's probably what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I want Nintendo to make it more worthwhile. We didn't buy the camera, FYI. It was sent to us by Nintendo. But still, I would like to see more uses of it, because it's kind of novel. It's kind of interesting. And it's.
I actually did buy the camera as well, so I have 2.
Oh, really?
So I'm doubling up on my cameras. I'm gonna have double angles going.
Wow. Yeah, do it.
That works.
Real professional setup. I mean, that's cool. You could give it to someone else, and then they could play it with you, I suppose, something like that.
I mean, that is part of the thought process. Although actually, I feel like my friends who all bought Switch 2s actually did buy the camera as well. So
oh, really?
Maybe I'll have one on my desk and one in the living room, so that I don't have to move it around if I'm...
I'm curious to see how this thing sells, the camera, because I don't know many people who've bought it. You are the first person I've done the video chat with. I've been able to do voice chat with others, of course, but this is my first experience using the game chat camera online with someone else.
Yeah, a lot of people who work with me on Source Gaming didn't buy the camera. I know there are some other influencer friends who I know who do have a camera, or maybe they got sent one by Nintendo as well. But my brother and my mum didn't bother buying the camera when they got theirs. I think it's I feel like it's not going to be like, a must-have thing. I think there'll be more Switch 2s sold than there were. Well, obviously there'll be more Switch 2s sold than there'll be cameras sold. But I feel like more than 50% of Switch 2 owners probably won't buy the camera. But I think that anyone who is like a big enough gamer, for lack of a better word, probably will grab the camera at some point. There just needs to be that killer feature that will use it. I'm curious to see what happens with the Mario Party DLC, because that relies... half of that DLC is basically reliant on the camera. So we'll see if sales of it pick up when that DLC drops out. Because right now it is just GameChat is really the only reason to use a camera, and the one mini game in Welcome Tour.
Well, Mario Kart
also requires stuff.
Mario Kart does use it. You can see your face above your character.
I meant in like a really substantial way, in the ways like where you couldn't play the game without the camera. Like there's so many games in Welcome Tour that you can't play without the camera. You won't be able to play that Mario Party camera DLC without the camera, obviously. And because it's not built into the system like previous cameras were, we'll see if the software can push sales up of the games and vice versa.
I find it hard to recommend people buy a camera just for this stuff, you know, but were it to get substantial support, GameChat at least is cool. That's something I'll say for it. So, yeah. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening to that. Check out my Patreon, where I do exclusive videos and podcasts, and you can support my research there. Get your name in the credits like these fine folks did. Thank you again, patrons, for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.